Okay, I should be live. I'm right off camera. How we doing? So today is a chest day. Most of you guys already know the drill. Drill. Just put your questions in the chat and I'll go along with them if I feel like answering them. Last time we did chest, I sprained my pec. We'll see if I can handle weight. I did some chest this weekend just to make sure that I was feeling okay. I was a little crunchy, but you know, it should be healed by this point. I did drop the Discord link too in the top of the chat. So, yeah, if you want to join that community as well, that'd be awesome. No pressure though. Just doing one business thing. Okay. All right, sorry about that, guys. So, I'm trying to think, what haven't I talked about yet that I've been trying? Last week, for the people that don't know, I started looking into stretch relaxation versus hypertrophy. And the idea basically was that hypertrophy-based training is going to lead to the actual collagen production and therefore new tissue. But stress relaxation has been taught a lot, and there's been people that gained with it. So is there another avenue that I haven't really looked at yet for PE? So my main idea behind it is that it's basically going to help push denser lying collagen. So let's say you've been doing PE for 2 to 3 years. You gained a lot, but you noticed that it just kind of feels like a denser erection rather than a bigger erection. Changing the shape through stretch relaxation might lead to more gains, particularly if you already have a lot of tissue. So it's not so much you're gaining or growing, but you're or changing how the shape is shown, kind of like retention theory, but a little more hardcore. What's up, Gage? Definitely noticed a change in density more than anything else. That's what I've noticed too in the past 3 weeks or so with vibration therapy testing for girth. But I can't really say that it's actually a change in density or I'm literally growing everywhere else but where I measure girth. Since it's basically going to be changing in 3 dimensions with girth, it gets kind of hard to track unless you change the volume or monitor the volume. Back to the back. Okay. All right, chest is doing okay. Of course. Business real quick, hold on. Copy. Okay. Ugh. But like, before we get back to this girth thing, I've noticed that I've gained, or at least I feel a lot thicker right under the glands. So like between the circumcision line and the glands, it just feels a lot denser. So it feels a lot bigger in my hands. But like when I measure it, because I measure right at my circumcision line, there hasn't been a real change. Granted, it's only been 2 or 3 weeks, but you know, time will tell. So what's a good time to measure progress? How long should we wait after pumping? Well, obviously you want to have a good baseline. So before you even start PE, do that. And then I usually do it, like measure my progress, like an official measure once a month, but some people say you shouldn't even do it that often. So as long as you haven't done PE in the past 24 hours, you can measure. The actual like tissue recovery time is about 2 hours. So that means it won't go back to its baseline shape until about 2 hours after stress. And that kind of brings me to my stretch, or what do we call it? Stress relaxation. If we're constantly stressing out the tissues every 2 hours just a little bit, it resets that window. So potentially you can trick your penis to be bigger all the time by just constantly agitating it every 2 hours. Ugh. Did I don't know if I increased the weight properly. 1 second. Okay, 40. 30. Nope. Stretch relaxation BCage is like when you wear an extender for an extended period of time at a weight beyond, say, a pound. Forsaken, I'm doing a chest day. Let's see. Unrealistic. I have full EQ and frequency, but my flaccid is more rubbery. Some say it's a reaction to PE. So I was curious, as a vet, what would you say? So a rubbery flaccid's a very good sign. It means that your tissue is very fatigued and, you know, more flexible. So that means it's going to behave more like a rubber. So keep it up. Once it starts stiffening, that's when you can either say you're cementing your gains potentially, or you're actually doing too much PE. And Patrick, taking collagen does not help PE. So the way it works is collagen, obviously, if you supplement it, you'll get better hair, skin, and nails. But if you eat a lot of animal protein, you're already getting a shit ton of collagen. Also, that collagen has to be digested and turned into amino acids to be then shuttled into the bloodstream. The real kicker is, though, is since the tunica albuginea has no active blood supply, there will not be any benefit of adding more building blocks to the bloodstream because the tunica can't even use it. Zero. Yeah, that makes sense. This is about photos and progress. I was thinking with muscle growth, you need a certain proximity to failure to see gains. Is this a case with PE? Also, it's a bit of a common misconception. So if we're talking about from like a physiotherapy perspective, there is a working range. And basically, if you're about 4 to 6% longer after your length sessions, or about 6 to 8% bigger after your girth sessions, you are in the gain zone, like speaking from a fatigue standpoint. So if we go over that, so let's say we do 10% elongation, which would be relatively discomfort or uncomfortable, but it's possible, you are going to actually open yourself up for fibrosis and stagnation, which is not good for PE. So there is a range that you want to be in, but you can't just keep spamming PE and hoping that you'll gain. It has to be very calculated almost. Okay, unrealistic. If you feel like you have a little tube inside, you're gonna have to explain that a little bit more, because we have two sets of fascia. We have the tunica and then we have the corpus cavernosum. They're all going to respond to PE, but the one that's going to be hardest to respond is the tunica because it's thicker, denser, and actually load bearing. So you want that to be, you know, nice and floppy afterwards, which would result in the entire shaft being a hot mess, essentially. This reminds me, ask Forsaken, since your goal is 10 inches, does that mean you'll be the first one claiming the 10K on the LPSG contest? So no, because it's non-bone pressed. Second of all, I don't even think they give the money away at this point, because I know there's guys on LPSG that are beyond 10 inches bone pressed, but they haven't thrown their hat in the ring, so why would they give it to me? Second of all, based off of how I'm built, I have kind of an ugly base, so it kind of obscures how big I actually am. So I don't think they'll give it to me based off of that too. Oh, did I mean to go up and wait? Okay, give me 1 second. I'll read your questions. Ow. I should have done a bit more of a stretch at the end. Okay. I'm just trying to see what I can handle if I have to do dumbbells, for example, today. LPSG stands for Large Penis Support Group. B cage. So rapid fatigue sets are done 1 minute, stretch times 10. What you're saying is wearing an extender multiple times a day may lead to gains. So it's not so much that you need to like do a full-on mini routine of PE, but like let's say you put a cock ring on for 20 to 30 minutes for every 2 hours. That would be enough to cause a little bit of overexpansion to reset that recovery window, because you only really need to get fatigued at the beginning of the day and then agitated enough throughout the rest of the day. That's on paper. I have no idea if this is actually going to work. All right, Rue, I noticed post-pump, there's very little flaccid malleability, most likely edema. So let's think about this. You are filling the chambers with not just blood, but lymphatic fluid. Then any liquid that gets pulled in under the skin is going to spool the skin tight. So you can have a relatively stiff flaccid just from that. And on top of that, if you're using too much pressure, there's going to be contraction response. Tamor, that's a weird question. Basically, he's saying girl's hand size to PP. So, if you're just looking at it from an aesthetic perspective, the smaller the hands, the bigger the penis. And that's like the trick they do in porn. But like most women are just going to know how big something is just by, feeling it and then experiencing it. So I really wouldn't worry so much about the optics. Like, for example, I've gained about 15 to 20 pounds of muscle this year. My dick looks a bit smaller on me, but my wife says I feel a lot bigger lately. So trust me, they can tell. What was I doing? Setting up for bench. Okay, Karana, would you say 2 hard clamps stacked are more optimal than a single one, similar to Ben's old clamp design or the Python Pro? So the internal pressure depends on what level you are and how big you are. If you're like over 7 inches, you might need 2 clamps, but in reality, I much prefer that you use like soft silicone rings, because you have a lot more modularity on the pressure. And that's what I use, is basically form fits to your dick a lot better. I don't know if you guys caught what I was doing off camera here. Someone said the flaccid should always be squishy when pressed from the sides. Mine isn't always squishy. Sometimes it feels like a rubber tube inside the flaccid. Sometimes it's completely squishy, but more so, varying something like hard flaccid. That's the only symptoms I have, is sometimes a hard-ish tube when pressing from the sides. So I did my PE. I am a little bit stiff on the side. With the inflammation, you're going to be a little bit stiff just in general. I wouldn't worry about it too much. But like if it's a chronic stiffness, then I would be a little bit more concerned. But like if you're getting normal erections, normal sensation, everything else, it's not going to be a huge deal. Okay. I tried a gasket cut up to try to get a better seal at the base from stop my balls from getting pulled in. It works that way, but I noticed less expansion or less length. So when you limit how much can travel into the tube, it's not going to be able to press deep into the pelvis, and it's not going to pull literally as much dick into the tube. So you're working everything normally. I have the same issue, and so does everyone else when they use a pump sleeve. Let me get a warm-up set and I'll get back to the questions. Sorry, I'm really paying attention to my right pec today just to see how it feels. So much so that my left pec's now tight. Taymor, can you microdose Viagra forever for PE, or at least cycle it? So you might just need to increase the dosage a little bit after the first couple weeks because you develop a bit of a tolerance to it, but it's not going to be crazy. But Cialis is not really good for Viagra is not really good for microdosing because it's such a short half-life compared to its alternative, Cialis. Cialis is in your system for at least 20 hours. I want to say 30 from what I remember. Meanwhile, Viagra is only in your system for 4 to 5. So like if we're looking for constant, what is it? How is it? What is it, guys? Shit. Whatever pathway for Cialis. You want to have it more active for longer, and so that's why Cialis is a better option. If I buy a manual pump with the gauge, the auto pump attachment separately, go swap between them? Yeah, no big deal. You probably get 2 tubes though, because we don't sell tubes separately anymore. So if you get the vacuum pump with a gauge, you'll get a 12-inch silicone tube, and then if you get the auto pump, you should get a 16-inch silicone tube. Okay, 1 second. Oh yeah, by the way, Thursday a bunch of guys recommended me to get the Versa grips, and I ordered them on Saturday, so they should be here this week. Sorry for the tangent, just remembered. If you cycled Cialis for years, you would not gain permanent size. It doesn't cause growth, it just causes relaxation of the soft tissues, the blood holding tissues. I probably shouldn't have went up on a jump like this, so we'll do 4 sets to start here and more after that. Okay. Unrealistic. So just resume normal extending and pumping, or just a week break. PE. That's going to purchase both your books. Well, thank you. You could take a break just to see how you feel. I didn't realize my head was off camera. You can take a break, but like I really don't think it's an issue if you're the guy with the rubbery feel. Robert, since PE is slightly damaging, the D makes bro science sense to me that doing half as much each time 2x a day would be less overall damage. By the way, PE 6 to 7 days a week. Thoughts? So it really depends on how you set up your routine, and I really think you need to hit your fatigue target all at once. So you can do PE for you can do PE and split it up throughout the day. But like I was talking at the beginning of the stream, it's probably more beneficial to have like feeder sets later on and do your full routine at once. And the way I teach PE, it's not so much damaging as it is fatiguing. So we're not trying to break down any tissues. We're trying to get it to have mechanical failure, much like if we're doing a normal chest exercise. We're not going well beyond causing severe damage, because if you look at the research, the severe damage happens at 8% elongation, right? So if we're never getting to that point, we're never going to have severe, downsides from doing PE every day. So 6 to 7 days a week, like you said, you just got to pay attention to how much work you're doing. I personally do about 5 days a week, but if you can handle 6 to 7, I'm not going to stop you. Just pay attention to like how much you stretch, because at a certain point you will need rest. And that's when people hit that wall, is like, let's say they've been doing PE for a week, seeing slow and steady progress. then they'll randomly stop seeing the stretch changes, say in the extender or hanging. That's when you're going to need a break, because you literally cannot mechanically fatigue the tissues anymore. Okay. War longest, I can do 315. I don't know for how many sets, but I've strained my pec last week, and I want to make sure I don't hurt it more. So give me 1 second to warm up, and we'll try 275s again. Thank you, Tyler. PDE5 pathway is a PDE5 inhibitor. Oh, thank you, Tyler. That was driving me a bit nuts. Okay, Patrick, I have more girth than length, so I can kind of look short. What can I do to get more length than girth? So, easy enough. You just do a length focused routine. I know I have a few on r/getting bigger, but ideally you get something like a hanger or an extender and just make it very easy, and then follow something like the interval length protocol. Okay, so look it up on r/getting bigger, interval length protocol. I should have a couple videos on it on this YouTube channel as well. Okay, B cage. BD, you mentioned 6% length per session. Some other number in girth. What exactly measurements? Pre and post session, how do you figure out the percentages? Apologies, retarded with the math. So, simply put, after session length or girth divided by pre-session length or girth. And then it's going to be like 1.06 if you did it right, which would be if you did it very right. And actually, that's if you're under load still. So if you're in the hanger, the very first set, measure your length. And then after your session, before you unhook, measure your length again. You should be 4 to 6% longer. Tamor, I would not make my kids do PE, but I would probably tell them about it, because that's what gave me confidence in high school. Well, Robert, I'm going to talk between sets, and those were my warm-up sets, so like I'm not too worried about it, but when I actually get to my working weight, I'll be locked in. Let's say, hypothetically, someone was 5 inches girth. What goal for post-pump would be for you to know what a good session is? So you want to be about 1/4 of an inch thicker to about 1/3 of an inch thicker. Okay, back to the auto pump question. If I meant to buy 1 cylinder only, is the pump with the gauge not detachable? Everything I have is detachable at this moment. We are looking at a smart pump with just the cylinder, but like it'd be pretty obvious if what you're buying. B cage, my bench is 365 max, but that was probably 2 or 3 years ago. All right, let me get a couple more warm-ups in. I think I just straightened my left pec now. Might just be tight. Okay, Jared does not get any expansion from soft clamping. Is this normal? I did 6 sets of 5 minutes, saw very little change when measured clamping. So, in general, you're really not going to see that much expansion from clamping. People that do have a weird edema response. I personally didn't get much expansion from clamping. Doesn't mean it didn't work. It's just that if we're measuring, a quarter of an inch bigger at the end of your session, that's not like going to be a huge difference like you can see with a pump. Damn, my boy's jacked in on juice and he's only at 340. Well, I can't get up that high right now, I can tell you that much. But a good way to put it is that I have good strength genes, but I hate lifting, like heavy. Like my grandma, granted she was probably high on painkillers, was known for being able to beat grown-ass men arm wrestling in their fry cook kitchen. So the strength genes, they're definitely there. It's just I don't like doing it. All right, I'm trusting 275. At least I hope I am. So the comment about me being always locked in, no, I am not always locked in. Okay. I definitely have I'm a very scattered-brained individual, so stuff like this allows me to at least have some structure in my day. When talking to other people, when do I realize it's when I realized I had ridiculous strength genes. Yeah. I mean, I know I have good strength potential. I wouldn't say I'm raw power, if that makes sense. Ugh. Okay. Any questions, though, guys? So something I want to look into, we talked about it a bit last week, is like making a custom fit mold for the base of my dick. So that way I don't have to worry about my balls getting bit off by the pump. And I think the best way to go about it was with the moldable earplugs. I'm yet to try it though. I mean, so Forsaken, I don't know if personally I don't consider sumo that impressive because like if you get all the way down, it's more of a flexibility thing. But for me, the bar would move maybe a foot compared to like a normal traditional deadlift is more like 2 feet. So I don't know. I mean, I'm pretty tall for general pop. I'm 6'1", 6'2". But I just think if you're talking about from a bodybuilding perspective, you want to do traditional deadlift, and it looks way cooler. So that screen better be filled with new questions by the time I come up from this. Not bad. Okay. I definitely had like at least 2 more sets in reserve on that one. All right, that's a bit better. I don't even know how you could do a narrow sumo. That sounds very contradictory. AJ, when it comes to response emails, it shouldn't be more than a day. This is tough. Do I go up 10 pounds or do I go up 5 pounds? We'll start with 10. So 285. How can you reverse PE? You smoke cigarettes and stop using your dick for 2 years. And I'm like half kidding. Cigarettes absolutely destroy erection quality. So that's one way to, fuck your shit up. And if you just don't use it, you lose it. Okay, goal of mine. How to reduce edema from pumping. Been doing 2-minute intervals here, 10 inches of mercury pressure. In less than 20 minutes, I get a lot of edema. So if you're new to this, 10 inches of mercury is a lot of pressure. So dial back the pressure, take more time off between your sets. So like if you're doing 20 minutes straight, take a break every 10 minutes, potentially every, 5 minutes would actually be the least edema response. So I'm assuming you mean sex, Tamor. Um, yeah, so you can make up for it with masturbation, but like if you're just not using your dick in general, you will lose size. Okay, vapes could potentially hurt cardiovascular health. So anything that will hurt cardiovascular health will hurt your penis. It is the same tissue that you find in your heart and everywhere else in your body. So B cage, is there PE gains like muscle memory? Uh, Speaking from experience, yes. I did fluctuate a bit in size, but particularly after COVID, I gained a lot back pretty fast. So, like in 4 months, I gained half an inch. Then I crashed my testosterone a couple years ago, and I went down to like 7.5. I got back up to 8 within 2 or 3 months. So, yeah, there's definitely some PE muscle memory, but you could also call that erection quality. Okay. Ugh. What are your thoughts on low intensity shockwave therapy? Define low intensity. That's what I hate about just these random nerds. Nerds. Random words. So like what's low to one person is not low to another, right? Like for example, a 225 bench press is relatively light to me now. If you're just starting, that's a very heavy bench press. So, if we're talking 10 hertz, that would be low frequency, I believe. And that's probably fine. Low is literally anywhere from like 1 to 60, I think. And like 60 is where we start seeing damage to collagen. So you got to really pick the right frequency. That's why I don't like using relative terms like low, high, big, small. Now, It's caught me dancing between sets here. Okay. Come on. I think that was 7. My chest did a weird thing on that. Nocturnal erection. So yeah, if you're not nocturnal erections, it's basically a diagnostic check for your dick, right? So if you're not getting a lot of those, you're not getting ample recovery. Yep, I sprained my left pec on that one. So I sprained my right pec last week. Left pec, now doing the same thing. That's frustrating. Oh, at least I got the set in. I might just try to isolate the upper part of my pec so I can at least finish the workout. Okay, hold on. So B cage, it's still a bit too early to see any applicable changes in girth. But once I got my routine dialed in, my erections are much angrier. So like my erection quality is a lot better. Thinking. I have noticed changes everywhere but where I put the ruler or the tailor's tape. So like under my glands, much thicker. Base is looking thicker, and like it's getting to the point where my head looks smaller. So like, my glands. So there's definitely changes from this. It's just trying to track changes to a 3-dimensional model in 2-dimensional space is very hard to do. Because like, again, you can literally gain everywhere but where you're measuring, and you won't be able to tell. Which is why I recommend most people measure from 3 points on the shaft. But if you post a lot of pictures like I do, you get your ass eaten out for using your base girth. So, Robert, I was just seeing where I was. It's funny because like my right pec feels fine. The other pec now, the one that was not strained last week, is now strained. But yeah, I need to take it easier. It's just that I've been doing 15 or like, high volume reps for the past 8 months, and I'm getting really tired of doing it. Okay. The Brian Johnson, he's the billionaire that looks like a vampire and, stole his son's blood. Basically, he did Botox to his dick, right? And that led to better erection quality and better flaccid hang. It did not make him bigger. I don't think you should really be putting botulism near your penis, because Botox is literally the botulism virus, and it causes your nerves to cause your muscles to contract and pull. So like, what's happening there is your little muscles that surround your penis and control the ins and out down there is going to basically cause you to have a permanent shower, or permanent semi. But other than that, it's probably relatively risky. Oh shit, wrong one. But Robert, thank you for your concern for my well-being on this. I know it's probably not coming off like that right now, but thank you. Tamor, you can literally look online and see what my dick looks like. Just go on r/getting bigger. It is quite brown compared to the rest of me. And like, I could fix it, but I really don't care. Retired is much better than injured, in my opinion. You still grow muscles at 15 reps, but my counter argument is motivation. I am far more motivated to get my bench press back up to 315 for 10 than I am to just spam chest flies, you know? Like, trust me, I know they work. I don't really train for strength that much. It's just I'm really craving something different. Opinions on vibration while pumping for girth gains. Jared, I cannot say I have gained in the past 3 weeks while using vibrations for girth, but the benefits so far have pointed that it is pretty effective for gains long term. It's just going to take more time to actually get photo proof of it working. I did this already, huh? All right. Sorry if that was loud, guys. Other than hooking 2 pumps together, is there any other cheap way to test calibration? I could not give you a good, cheap way to do it. And I'm sorry. And honestly, this is going to be a little bit taboo, so don't tell Hank. But if you've been doing PE for a while now, you should be able to tell what level of pressure you need to get like that uncomfortable feeling for pumping. So like I can basically figure out what I need just by feel is what I'm saying. But you know, I'm me. If you're a new guy, you definitely need a pump with a gauge. But if you have old equipment that may not have the best gauge, just go until you feel slight discomfort and then go from there. All right, let's see how this feels. Awkward. Might have to put it on the bench. Something feels twisting. Yeah, I'm gonna probably set up the bench for this. Okay. Tamer, this is a different injury. So like it just swapped pecs. What I think it happened was I focused so much on stretching out my right side that I didn't stretch out my left side enough. Because, you know, I have to rush and set up the stream without actually focusing on my dynamic warm-up that you guys don't see. That should be good. Sorry, I lost a bit of. Did you see that post of the guy wearing a toy while soft clamping? It looked like a baseball bat, but I'd be worried about a kegling while wearing something like that. So I'm not exactly sure what toy you're talking about, but like you really should not be masturbating and clamping. And I used to be team and do that. Now I'm kind of against it because solely because I've been seeing much better expansion without jerking it while clamping. And there, I noticed minor pelvic floor strain. So you're best off separating those tasks. Forsaken, your dick can get darker, but I would not say it's going to be black. If it's black, that means you literally have like broken blood vessels and bruises. Sorry, I'm just trying to find the tension. So, Robert, yeah, I don't like doing manuals, but I could tell how hard to pull, just because it's muscle memory at this point, right? And I think a lot of experienced lifters would be able to tell you how much is on a bar and get relatively close to what is on the bar, right? So, like, obviously you want to be safe, but like if you've been doing PE for 5 to 10 years, and I can trust most of you guys that have been in the field long enough to have a decent idea of what you need to do. Okay, Jeff, could you explain how to measure before and after girth? So you're talking like tracking session size. So like length, you literally just pull out flaccid, and then after your session, do it again. You should be about 2% longer post session without load. Then for girth, get a cock ring, measure your erect girth, and then after your session, take the cock ring, put it on again, and then measure your expansion. With some kind of alien vibrator. Okay. What's the craziest thing you did for gains? I once used a rolling pin and slapped my clamp D on my desk. I rolled as flat as possible, got huge expansion, but didn't help. I kind of hope you're joking with that because that is very high risk. But all I can really say is the craziest things I have done never really equated to any changes long term. So, like, for example, we talked about tridebibic pre-prism and, clamping for an hour. And obviously that did not do shit. So that's part of the reason why I started looking into this from a physiotherapy perspective is like, if we change the angle that we're looking at something or change our perspective, we can get a lot better understanding of something, even if it's not 100% accurate. It at least furthers our current understanding, right? And when I switched to the physiotherapy stuff, that's when the gains became really easy. So I can build upon that and get even better gains with other stuff like the stress relaxation stuff. Whew. Okay, so B Cage was not joking about his rolling pin method. No one else try it, obviously. But what he basically did was he forced the tissues to basically break down physically while under expansion. Does that work? Yeah, but as like extreme tunica malleability, you can do it much safer with just your hands. Like, if you did a BFR massage of slightly higher erection, you'd probably get a much safer and relatively similar result. Daniel, I do think the between the cheek stretch is still worth doing. It's just I don't think it needs to be a main part of your routine. If unless you have like a super high erection angle, like we're talking like point straight up to your belly button. Otherwise, for your first 6 months, do about 10 minutes of it a day, or before your sessions. Sorry, out of breath. But otherwise, unless it starts feeling tight again, you really don't need to add it. Like I just did it for 2 weeks this month. I noticed a slight improvement in my erection, like size and appearance, but not so much on the roller. So let's see. How big does your flask need to be in order to get into hanging devices like the male hanger? So you need to be a little bit above average for the male hanger to fit properly, because the device itself is like 2 or 3 inches long, so your flaccid's going to need to be at least 4 inches long. But since we're stretching, you need to be looking at your erect size, so that's going to be about 5.5 to 6 inches long. And it doesn't mean it won't work at smaller sizes, but like if you're 3 inches long, you're probably going to want to start with your hands or use a vacuum cup to start. Sorry, I'm looking. So will stretching give you girth, Kratos? It's possible, but I wouldn't count on it. If you follow my theory, you need some kind of tunica manipulation, which includes length work for optimal girth gains because it basically fatigues the tissue before you expand it, making it easier to expand. However, there's more applicable exercises for that, such as semi-erect bends, BFR massage, stuff like that. Just learning. You should try to get deeper at the bottom. Your reps to feel a stretch across your chest. I know that, but I'm not sure if you just joined this stream. I did a little number on my left pec, so I'm being a little bit more careful. Thank you for your concern, though. Your tagline should be both a decade of bro science plus a few years of physiotherapy experience. It's more impressive to regular people. So I don't think you have my book, Robert, and it's fine if you don't. But that's basically my first couple chapters in the length book is explaining where the bro science went wrong, and then the physiotherapy actually explaining why it happens. I don't really like bragging about myself, though. So, like, I'm just beady, and then you guys can call me whatever you want. Let's see. Hold on. Guys, I got a little too fast. Is a quarter of an inch to a little bit over half an inch of girth for girth or just length. That's going to be more for girth because for length, you're really going to be able to be about a quarter of an inch to a half an inch bigger. But with girth, we need to account for a bit of edema. So you want to be a little bit bigger than you would be for length typically. I changed up my PE routine, says MFR Rater, from longer sets at 10 HD to less instead of 10 to 15. I dropped to 5 minutes, sets at 35 minutes with minutes between. I like that better. Longer time under pressure. So for the most part, I recommend about 30 minutes of pressure, time under expansion for your main sessions. So yeah, you sound you're like right where you should be. Okay, last set of this, and I got to figure out how to do some decline bench here, which is probably just flipping this all the way back. Real quick, is L-citrulline worth for better EQ? It really depends who you are. I don't notice much of a difference with my erection quality, but like a lot of people swear by it. So it really depends on you. Okay. I guess the stretch does not hurt as much as I thought it would. I guess it's not so much hurt, but like just crunchy. I've been using crunchy a lot to explain this. Does that Sam Saluk say that? I feel like I stole that from him. Okay. And this is the stretch portion that I really need to start focusing more on. And down. Okay. Work with me. Okay. Okay, Mr. Simple. I slept 12 hours today, so I feel tired. I have a home gym too. Should I half-ass a workout, or should I do it properly tomorrow? I would recommend. I would recommend you to like just sit down for 10 minutes and just meditate a bit. See if that clears your mind and helps you focus before you work out today. Otherwise, if you can't get your headspace right, wait till tomorrow. But you slept for 12 hours. You're definitely more than enough rested. Decline bench, maybe. I really need to get a dip attachment for this. And guys, I'll be right back. I gotta grab a charger for my tablet. Okay, I'm back. Off screen though. Okay. All right, what'd I miss? Not much. If I start with girth, can I lose it if I switch to length? More than likely not, unless it's nothing but inflammation. But if you're doing the way I teach PE, or how Hank teaches PE, you won't really have a big inflammation issue. Since I've been pumping and gone, hold on. Since I've been pumping and I got a flaccid hang and girth length went up by 1/4 of an inch. I use a 2 1/4 by 12 pump. I like my results, and my wife likes the new me. Well, congratulations. I hope it keeps happening. Tunica release is key, says Steve. Bundles and vibrations helped my girth. See, I've never used bundles, and that's just personal preference. But like, if it works for you, I'm not going to tell you not to. I know Perv really liked them for a while, so. B-cage, the heaviest I've extended was probably about 17 pounds. Most I ever hung was probably around 17 pounds. Both vacuum. All right, let's see how this feels. I'm gonna have to flip out the feet. I have never used this part of my bench. Okay. So how much bigger should I be for girth work? I do hard clamping. So if you can't get at least 1/8 of an inch bigger while wearing a clamp, you probably want to adjust your clamp or try cock rings or toe shield. Raider, do not do trimix for PE. It is very high risk. And what they don't tell you is that you develop a tolerance, so you have to take more and more of it. I've actually never seen photo evidence of it working. That's problematic. I'm not getting a deep enough stretch. Any reason why shipping's so high to the EU? It's almost as much as the pump itself, because we collect taxes for you. That's the best. That's what I think is happening. If Red's still in the chat, he can double check for me. But yeah, it pisses me off too. So eventually, we'll have a distribution warehouse in Europe. But right now, of course, the United States is still having crazy demand swings. Okay, so we can go up in the weight. Okay. How much bigger should I be when I clamp? I think we already answered that, Cage. Or Beast Dude. Do you believe it's necessarily to add weight or tension I can gain? Okay, sorry, a little out of breath and a head rush. Do you believe it's necessary to add weight/tension or one can gain with a set of weight indefinitely? So, I believe with proper planning, you won't have to increase your weight very often. And I basically did 12 pounds, between 8 to 12 pounds for the past 6 months, and I dabbled with higher pressures at the end of my last length stint, so like 15 pounds. But like, I can't say for certain that it led to better gains, and I can't say for certain that I needed to do it, use 15 pounds. But the research suggests if you're able to avoid the strength adaptation by taking planned breaks, you can gain indefinitely at a certain weight. So 60. Do you use Vigor on top of Cialis? So I've been taking like 2 scoops of Vigor and 10 milligrams of Cialis daily, but I'm a 230-pound man. I can handle a lot of vasodilation. you need to take it a little more carefully than I do. So like, if you're trying to mix vigor with Cialis, start with a lower dose of Cialis, potentially even half a scoop of vigor. I really doubt you need to do a half a scoop of vigor. But, you know, if you're mixing them, just play it safe. Based. How much weight do I do on lat pull down sets and reps? So I would say 180 to 190, and I'm usually between 12 to 14, and the main issue is my grip giving out. Okay, Robert, I will answer that question after the set. Holy shit. That is a lot more stability work than I thought it would be. Okay. Okay, Robert, do you feel any actual movement when your D fully releases all the tension during a PE length exercise? For the first 5 minutes, I would see it literally going up on the apex, for example. So like, I will have to constantly readjust my tension because my dick's like relaxing. I wouldn't say I could necessarily feel it, but I could say I would feel it with like tunica release stuff because that's actually like a relaxation response. We're gonna have to drop the weight on that if I want to get a little bit more muscle activation. How often should one take a break? Well, that would depend on how you have your program set up. But in my book, I theorize that you should take a week off every 8, treat it like a deload for bodybuilding. So like, you work your ass off for 8 weeks, your muscles are beat up to shit, your joints are a little achy, you are probably best to do nothing or half the work during this for bodybuilding. When you look at the physiotherapy research, there is a curve for tissue adaptation that goes like this and down, and this is tissue strength. So it goes up a little bit, and then as the tissue is constantly fatigued, it drops tremendously. So about by week 6 to 8, we'll be in the bottom of the strength deficit. And then that's when your body starts to adapt to handle more weight. It's going to depend on how much work you're doing and how, or the tissue type. So for example, your tendons are going to have a lot more stem cells than your ligaments. So they're going to be able to produce a ton more collagen at that time. Tunica probably has even less stem cells than ligaments, so it's going to need even more time to recover. So the time for it to adapt is longer. So in general, if we take that week off, we should be able to see a complete net change, or no net change in strength adaptation, but a change in size. Forsaken, I think I'm missing a part of this. He said it was almost like I was wearing a crock ring. Do you know how to do this? He was claiming it was as strong as taking 20 milligrams of Cialis. What are you talking about? Would love to do another live with you, Perv and Hank. So Perv is taking a hiatus from social media, and Hank and I kind of have flipped schedules. So it's a little bit hard for us to meet up, but yeah, we will do them eventually. Oh. Okay. That's all for chest today. Still got to do biceps. What's the past 3 or 6? Oh, great. All right, I'm just starting my journey. I want to be part of your study group. So, unfortunately, we've already made a short list for our candidates. We need to think of some good screening questions to narrow it down to 4. So I'm sorry, man, but your chance to be part of it has sailed, but thank you for the super chat. All right, I'm gonna pee and then crank out some biceps, and then I gotta do cardio. So you guys probably got me for another 10 to 15 minutes. But first, I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. Biceps. I think I told you guys I was having car troubles, right? And that's why I missed the stream last week. Well, it turns out that the repair was half the price that it was originally thought to be, and my car's ready for pickup. So, start of a good week so far, I'd like to think. All right, that's in place. Bicep. What's the benefit of fulcrum stretches and an extender? You tell me. I don't particularly teach those. The premise is particularly for Peyronie's that it will help stretch out the fibrotic buildup under the, or in the corpus cavernosum. However, if you're a normal guy doing fulcrums, the idea is that it creates weird stress on the tunica, and that could potentially help break plateaus. I personally think it's only good for Peyronie's, but, you know. Do I have a video that shows the process and nuances to length gaining? Your best bet is to start with the interval length protocol. And that's a video on my YouTube channel. Just look up interval length protocol, and it should be there. And this is just a warm-up set, if you guys couldn't tell. Okay. Oh. Let's see, is this... It's like pulling the right pin. Okay. Do the... Okay, I am older, and I take 2 to 5 milligrams of Cialis. Do the benefits of vigor do anything if it doesn't give any noticeable benefits for EQ? So it's not just for PE. Like, I take vigor right before the gym because it's really good for pumps. There's glycerin in it, there's nitrosiganine, a few other things I can't think of at the top of my head about the label, but essentially it's a stimulant-free pre-workout and a good one at that. So, like, you can get a pretty damn good pump with it, and you're going to get a lot less muscle cramps, I've noticed, with it, unless, you know, you're not taking care of your joint health like I should be. But, you know, it is what it is. It is worth it, especially if you already take a caffeine-based pre-workout and you want another thing to add to it. But obviously, I don't need you guys to buy anything from me. But I do think it's a pretty damn good product. Not feeling anything on that one. So that's interesting. So Patrick Lewis said he took Xyloflex, and those are the bent carrot commercials. So basically, it's an enzyme that literally breaks down collagen. And I looked at getting it for PE back when I was a psycho. Like, not like the actual shot go into the thing, but like the peptide or the enzyme, and do it myself. Obviously, don't do that because you can literally rip your dick in half if you're not careful. If you do this right, Patrick, you could actually gain a lot of size. You just have to be very careful at the same time. So, fulcrum stretches are fine, but if you do like light pumping with it, you're basically going to cause the tissue to stretch out as much as possible. Yeah, it'd be cool if you liked and subbed, guys, but again, this stuff is more so I just have somewhere to be at 2 p.m. every day. Lets me build my entire day around it because as a small business owner, you really don't have a set schedule for the first couple years because you have to just keep putting out fires. Yeah, anyone that is of sound mind would have their urologist do the shots for them. For Xyloflex, that is. But there are rumors that porn stars have taken Xyloflex and then did PE to get ridiculously big. But that's rumors, and you need someone to actually come out and say they did that. Bragging, I'm not seeing the rest of your message. So if you say anything beyond PG, YouTube will censor it. So get creative with the words you use. Patrick, are you for real? 8.5. So for perspective, my wrist is like 7.5 to 7.25. So he'd be like down here thick. Well, no wonder you have Peyronie's. That sounds like you had like a weird growth issue when you were younger, if that's the case. Kind of like priapism. So, yeah, you don't need much more, dude. I'd understand if you're going for length at that point, but it's funny because I was like looking after post pump, like, damn, 6.5 is ridiculous. I don't even know if I want to get bigger than that. And then this dude's walking around with a literal arm in his pants. All right, so Patrick, my question is, why are you on my channel? Like, I'm not hating or anything. It's just interesting to see someone as large as yourself here. Robert, you fell asleep one time while pumped. Wow, deep cut. So, yeah, basically what happened is I did a low pressure pumping session and then fell asleep for 2 hours. And it was forsaken. Just copy and paste it and I'll look at it. It was a very bloated edema, like a normal fetish pumping thing. I wouldn't recommend it. My stretch flaccid just reached 6 today. Current erect length is 5.3. How long will it take to catch up? It's hard to tell, dude. Like, I'll be completely honest. Like, my stretch flaccid right now is like 9.5, but my erect size is like 8.8, 8.9. It took me 3 months to get from 8.5 hard, 9-ish stretch to 8.9 erect. So 3 months is a good shooting point, but I would say closer to 6. And Patrick, what's your current size, if you don't mind me asking? Okay, he said it was almost as wearing a cock ring. You know how to do this? He said it was claiming as strong as taking as strong as 20 milligrams of Cialis. I feel like I'm missing a big part of that question. Okay, I'm reading it from the chat log. BD, a physical therapist and getting bigger, said he could get an erection by demand by targeting the IC and BS muscles, but he gave a garbage explanation. He said it was almost like wearing a cock ring. So hold on, let me get my trusty hammer. So, did he say bundle? I'm trying to figure out what muscles he said. Idiocavernous and bulbospongiosum. Okay, so hold on, picked up a magnet. Okay, so this half of your dick, actually this will work better. This half of your dick is under you. There's going to be little muscles that surround it that squeeze. That squeezing is what gives you an erection. So if you can have a tight flexion with an arousal response, you can get a very big erection. A lot of people that have erectile dysfunction actually have pelvic floor dysfunction and they can't get enough blood into their penis because the muscles are too tight. If those muscles are relaxed, opening the floodgates, then that's how you get your erection, I think. I might have flipped my I might have flipped the flexion versus relaxing. Let me think for a second. And the reason why I did that is because the smooth muscle in your penis, the basoendothelial smooth muscle, is always contracted. It's really weird compared to the rest of the body, right? Because like if you think about it, all of your other parts of your body are relaxed, but your flaccid is always contracted. So when we allow blood into it, it relaxes, causing the erection. For the bulbospongiosum, what was it, idiocavernous muscle, it flexes. So if you can get proper flexion of the idiocavernous muscle in particular, then you can get a better erection. Now, can you get better than a cock ring? Probably not. And that's going to be because a cock ring is going to cause super physiological occlusion, better than a flexion of the idiocavernous muscle could. Hank, did I mess up on that? I didn't know you were here, so... Okay, cool. It's not that I didn't know what I was talking about, it's just I got my words mixed up. Because there's blood in a lot of other places in my little peanut brain. Okay. Also, I still suffer from ED. My current length is about 7.75. All right, Hank, if that's what you want. So this guy is claiming to be 7.75 by 8.5. That sounds like a pre-prism candidate to me. So what Hank is saying is I don't watch his videos, and that's correct. But he produces, what, 12 a month, and I produce 2? So... I just prefer to keep my YouTube, like my personal YouTube, not filled with dick stuff because my entire waking hours for work is for dick stuff. But how do you target those muscles? He said he could get hard without stimulation. He can flex those or muscles on demand. So that's what we call a Kegel. To flex the bulbospongiosum, Imagine you're peeing, and then imagine stopping the flow midstream. That is one of the Kegel muscles, or pelvic floor muscles. Then the ischio-cavernous muscle is a bit harder to control, but like the easiest way is get erect, and then like just think about flexing your dick, and then it should bounce a little. That's going to be your ischio-cavernous muscle. So if those muscles are stronger, you can potentially get better occlusion, leading to better erection quality. I think this is 4 sets. I only meant to do 3. Ugh. Oh yeah, I don't know if I talked about this already, but I'm stupid, and I didn't realize your abdominal muscles literally go up to your pec. So like, I've literally only trained my abs from here down, and I don't think I've actually developed my upper abs. So I'll let you guys know in a couple months. But yeah. All right, what time is it anyway? I got 3 more sets of biceps. And since I'm running really late, I'm going to have to end it there. But if you got questions, shoot them now. Let's see, where can I contact you for a personalized plan? So I have stopped coaching for the most part because business has gotten crazy. Red and I have been working on something and down the line to allow for clients again, but it's going to be more so as if I'm the doctor and he's the nurse, so he would be doing all the basic stuff at the beginning. I'd come in, set up your routine, and then he would be handling the check-ins or something like that. So I can't really tell you if that's going to be a thing anytime soon. Okay, that is really weird for a second. Let me finish this up and I'll read it again. Okay. Okay, one of his cues to target those muscles to shorten the distance between the sitting bone and the pubic bone. What the fuck does that even mean? That is a great question. All right, if this is just me as a layman thinking about it, but think about getting your tailbone and pulling it closer to your penis. Okay, so your pubic bone, your tailbone. Act like you're trying to pull them together. And that's what's going to cause this minor flexion. Most of you guys are just going to feel it in your butt cheeks, so putting it that way. Ugh. Okay. What's the standard goal for a hard gainer? I'm a 4-inch grower. Should I do an extending an hour before hanging, or 1 hour hanging, 1 hour extending again? Okay, then ADS. You do not need that much work. I really think a lot of hard gainers actually do too much work, and that's why they don't gain. Also, do you actually have are you actually a hard gainer? Do you actually have proof that you have difficulty gaining, or are you just assuming based off what you read? Is Red the cute brown Reddit avatar? I don't know. Red, do you have a cute brown Reddit avatar? I don't even know if he's on. But Red is a moderator on r/gettingbigger, and then he is my basically personal assistant, and he manages most of the orders that come out of Peak Male Physique. What's a decent starting weight and time? So research suggests 4 to 6 pounds is a good starting point. I'd say start closer to 4. And then 20 minutes is going to be like your best bet. You probably want to start lower with vacuum hanging, say 2.5 pounds for the first week or two, then jump up to 4 to avoid blisters. Robert, do I stand up a lot when biking? Like 80% of the time. And it's funny because I was talking to Perv about biking and I was giving me some minor pelvic floor issues. And he said it's because I wasn't using my ass while biking. So like I wasn't using my glutes. So I literally have to be like a cute little biker girl and stick my butt out. And it helps a lot, believe it or not. But how long is my wingspan? I haven't measured it in a while. But it's about 73, 74 inches. So like, and I'm 6'1", 6'2". So like, I'm pretty proportional, except for my legs. I have the legs of like a 5'9" guy, but the torso of someone that's like 6'3", 6'4". So I look weird sometimes, like a little stubby. Okay, so he's 6.75 hard. He does 1 hour, 5 days a week, 4 to 5 months with no gains. So I would say take 2 weeks off, then measure strain. So that means go down and measure your starting stretch length. And then after your session, do your post-session length, and that should be 2% longer. If you're 2% longer after your session, you've done enough work at least generating fatigue. Now, there's a few caveats associated with that, but at the very least, you have enough work done to gain. Now you need to make sure that the collagen is going to lay in the shape you want, so you probably need retention, and then you need to be able to fill in the new collagen that you've built. So that's going to require pumping or clamping. Okay, Blue Chew is just either Viagra or Cialis, depending on what your prescription is. So yes, it'll be good for pumping, just don't overdo it, obviously. I do before most of my workouts, I'll take 10 milligrams of Cialis 20 to 30 minutes beforehand. Did I say 10 milligrams? I hope I said 10 milligrams. Okay, Forsaken. My starting girth is 5.5, which is decent. You mean big. My goal is 7 inches girth. Again, that is about as thick as my wrist. It's hard to tell, but that's quite large. PMA is not sounding too bad after the realization. PMMA. I said too many M's. PMMA. No, I didn't. Okay. Is a silicone filler with a collagen gel. And what happens is the collagen gel is eventually replaced by natural collagen produced by your body. So it is a relatively natural way to do fillers that's semi-permanent, mostly permanent. However, I've seen a lot of horror stories of blistering coming from PMMA, and then you have to go in and get another revision. So it's probably okay, but like, let's get you to 6 and see how you feel first naturally, like, because I'm telling you, 6 is huge. Okay, like, and then 6.5 pumped is like even more ridiculous. Like an actual 7, like mid shaft 7 is ridiculous. You're gonna need a very special partner to take that often. TJ, if you go to the very first chat on this, let's see, I might actually have it saved. Yep. Join that Discord that I just linked, and then ask your questions there. Someone with knowledge will be able to help you out. Cov that Colby. What are the biggest useful, actionable results for all-day stretching? I've heard it's only really good for solidifying length gains. I don't know why I just said that. And increasing flaccid sides. So yeah, that's basically it. But the way most people teach it's not 100% accurate. Um, look up retention theory to get more detail what I think. But essentially, if your penis takes that shape, the longer shape, more often, the more likely is collagen is going to be laid in that shape. And additionally, the existing collagen will be remodeled into that shape. So, if we wear an all-day stretcher for 4 to 6 hours a day, we're going to slowly train our penis to be in that longer state. So, first Forsaken, my wife is a relative size queen. There are days where at 8.5 by 6 and 9 by 6 were too big. Now you were trying to get bigger than that. Just putting that in perspective. And last question, 7.5 by 5 3/4 is huge. Like, practically speaking, that is going to be as big as most porn stars. Anyone that says it's small was either trying to spite you or you're just a bit miseducated on practical sizes. Because like 7.5 is going to be at least 2 male hands. And you're welcome, Colby. I will try to be live streaming every day this week. Hopefully I do better than I did the last 2 weeks. So hope to see you all then. If not, I hope you learned something on this one. I'm heading out.